Hey, everybody. We're back with Writing Raven Universe. My name is William, W.J.R. Parks. Of course, with my co author, Janelle Cobrilli here.
Hi.
Hope everybody's doing fine. And I think I got one of my other favorite people here that I've learned quite a bit in the past year while I was sitting at home trying to figure out how to get my books out there and noticed. Mr. Brian D. Meeks. I hope I'm saying that right.
You are. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome. Welcome, Brian.
Glad to have you. So, what I've read in with his books, he actually helped me to figure out how to write. What would it be called? I guess copy editing, in a sense.
Oh, well, copywriting.
Copywriting.
Copywriting is the art of using language to promote marketing. It started in the I don't know the origin of the word. I don't know if it came out of Madison Avenue in the 50s. I've always assumed it did, but I've never looked up the etymology of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we all use words on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or Google, wherever we have our books.
Yeah.
We're using words to try to persuade a person who is interested in a book to give ours the chance. That's what it's about. Some people don't like the word sales. It feels dirty. But the realities are, if we've written a book we're proud of, that we believe people will enjoy or learn from, in the case of nonfiction, then it's our duty to do the best job possible to get them hooked so they'll read it. And that's what copywriting is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the way I saw it when I was doing everything, because last year I went kind of crazy with a little bit of money that I had saved up in order to try all kinds of different ways and things to get the books noticed that me and Janelle have written. And so they see the cover is the first thing they see, the thumbnail, and it'll have them where the eye kind of locks into them, and then they'll click on it. But the synopsis, the way well, in my mind that I see it, is the actual part that gets them to maybe go to the sale page, in a sense, right?
Yes.
Because that's the one that's giving them the interest. Those are the ones that are raising the questions and giving them
Yes.
that idea without giving too much of the actual story.
That's exactly correct. I always say the covers get clicks, the description gets sales. Or, well, I say conversions, because if you're exclusive to Amazon, and this is a mistake most authors make, is they focus on sales. Sales are the least important of the two types of readers, because in most genres for fiction, you will get more readers, sometimes 2 to 3 times more, who consume your book through Kindle Unlimited than actually buy the book. And that's important to understand, that if you're making changes and you're trying to understand how your book is performing and you're only looking at sales, that's not correct. Don't look at something that represents 25 to 33% of the readers you're getting, because what if you go for a week and it skews heavily KU, where you're getting 90% of your readers just for a short span, because that's what variance does. It can move over time. But what if you have 8-10 days where almost every new reader is a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, and you're only looking at sales, and you think, oh no, what's happened? What's going on? My book is nobody wants it anymore. Well, no, that's not true. You're still getting your 20 new readers a week, but instead of 4 of them or 5 of them being sales, only 2 of them were, but 18 were Kindle Unlimited. And so you panic because it went from 5 to 2. Yeah. But that's not the case. And maybe it's actually you got 22 that week. So it's really important to understand how the system works and look at all the numbers, because being lazy and just sales are easy to look at, that's not how you succeed.
Yeah, all of that is really hard for new writers, because here they are trying to write their first book or short story or whatever, just get the hang of it, and then there's all this other stuff involved, that, like what you're speaking about, that they've got to know eventually. But oh man, it's like overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. Absolutely. There's a huge volume of things that you need to know, which is a small subset of all the things that you will hear about. So as you're getting this fire hose of, oh, I did this crazy thing and it worked, and you hear 10 of those a day, well, that it can be hard to know which things to focus on. And I believe understanding the metrics and analysis should be one of the key elements, and learning that early on, because if you're focusing on, oh, I'm going to do promotions, the free giveaways and all that, and your book description has a synopsis which converts at 1 in 30, and you're going down that road and you spend $5,000 when the description converts poorly, wouldn't you like to go back in time before you spent the money and fix the description first?
Right.
And then the 5,000, instead of 1 in 30, converts at 1 in 10. It goes 3 times longer. So it's really important to be able to sort through the wheat from the chaff, if I may make an agricultural reference.
And that after I finished reading the book, that's one thing that I realized about it, is that the conversion is very important, but it's because of the synopsis. I never, as an author, I don't know why it was so hard for me. I dreaded writing synopsis. I just want to put in like
everybody does it. I hated them. Yeah. I hate it. The whole reason I got into copywriting was because one day I had a book, Touch to Die For, a thriller, serial killer thriller, and it was ready to go. It was edited. It was entered into Amazon except for one box, the ISBN number. What was registered was in. Everything was done, cover done, through beta readers, ready to go. I had one box to fill out, the description. And I said, I'll do it tomorrow. I did not do it tomorrow. I did not do it tomorrow every day for 60 days. And finally, my little voice said, are you kidding me? And my little voice is not like most people. I have the most upbeat, optimistic little voice that tells me how awesome I am every single day. But in this case, the little voice had enough. And it said, you've got to be kidding. It's been 60 days. Write the description. Launch the book. You're a psychopath. So I did. And I felt good about it for about 10 seconds. And then it said, yeah, that's not good. You know it's not good. It's horrible. You know copywriting is a thing. I'm good friends with Sean Platt from the Self-Publishing Podcast. Sean was a world-class copywriter before getting into publishing. And why not reach out to him? So I did. I sent him an email. And I said, Sean, this is what I just did. I'm embarrassed. Can you put me on the correct path to learning copywriting? And he sent back some information and some book recommendations. And that's when it started. Within a month of reading and devoting sort of the next 4 or 5 weeks to learning copywriting, I rewrote my descriptions. And because I keep all my data and my conversion rate was around 1 in 30, it was down to 1 in 12. Well, I mean, in a month, it was instantly. I was spending the same amount on ads, but I was getting so much more revenue. It was insane. I went back because I keep my historical data, and I asked the question, if I had learned this 12 months ago, well, I know what I spent on clicks. I knew how many clicks I had, and then I could calculate what the conversion would be based on my new data, and I could calculate what my revenue would have been. And I left $60,000 on the table because I didn't learn copywriting 12 months earlier. Now, most people, well, not most people, but the pessimists of the world would lament and say, oh, woe is me, all that lost money. I never once thought that. My first thought was, oh, thank goodness I didn't wait 5 more years.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the evolution of learning copywriting. I hated it as much or more than you do. And 80-90% of authors that I speak with hate it. And it's because it's not a skill set we have, and things we don't know how to do make us uncomfortable, which is natural.
Right.
I'm not great at hitting on women. It makes I don't have any cool lines to say. It makes me uncomfortable. Writing descriptions made me uncomfortable. But once I learned how, I switched from. I'm getting spammed a lot. I don't know why the spammers are attacking my phone today. But once I understood how it worked, I went from hating this to, you know what, this isn't so bad. And now this is what I do. I spend most days doing copywriting for authors. So
yeah, I think once you get the idea and the little steps, I know me and Janelle, we actually went through all your examples that you have on your book. And we were trying for Raven, book 2. We went in there and tried it, and then for the Reckoning, she wrote her synopsis. I helped her with her synopsis as well in order to try to see if we could get it toward your method. And
sure.
So
I'm looking them up on Amazon. What was the second one you said? Reckoning?
The Reckoning, Reckoning by W.J.R. Parks and Janelle Colberley. And Raven book 2 is the other one. I was going to try to bring it up here and see what you would rate it as how we did. So I know Raven book 2 is a little bit closer to your method. Okay, see if I can bring it up here.
I was having a little trouble with the Reckoning. But
well, don't beat yourself up because it's hard.
Yeah,
I've written paid descriptions for clients. I'm probably coming up on 700 to 750 of them. Prior to doing that, when I was writing descriptions just for free to improve, maybe another 300, 400, 500. And so I've done a lot of this. And so, okay, let's look at this one. Can you close the read less? You see how it says read less at the bottom?
Oh, close it.
Yep, close it. Oh, okay. Well, why doesn't it have anything? Can maybe you need to? Is it maximized on your screen? Because usually there's 5 lines if you have when it comes up. Let me look on my screen. Just a moment. Moment. Oh.
Maybe.
Let's see here. Wow, there's a lot of books called Demon of Darkness. Let's see. Okay, well, it troubles me that. Okay, let's see. Demon of Darkness, Hidden Worlds. Let's put more into the search. Hidden Worlds.
That's how hard my book is to find. That's not good.
it is a little trouble. Okay.
Maybe
Dale's the same way. Dale's with us. He says that he's never seen it move below the fold.
Okay, I have found it. So so I'm going to look on my screen and
we'll follow along.
Yes, what I want folks to understand is that it is important to know that for the Kindle edition, there are 5 lines above the fold, and the fold in this instance is read more. 2 of them should be blank because we're trying to make it lightweight. We don't want all 5 lines filled up with words. The other thing that's important is that the lines be short because, as everyone who has ever been on Facebook knows, we as a species, the human race, our attention span has been destroyed by social media. So we have very little time as authors to hook them well enough that they will read the description. And that's what the opening 3 lines are for. Get them to read it. So I'm going to read your opening 3 lines. Will temptation force Raven into darkness? Okay, that's a pretty good hook, but it shouldn't be line 1. And I'll explain why. Okay. Raven's brother has been captured by Sheriffum. Yeah. Okay. So in that line, I get to a word I don't know how to pronounce. It slows me down. You might lose me. Write it Sheriffum. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Raven's brother has been captured. Period. Okay, that's better. Is it important that the potential reader know who the antagonist is? Has been captured. And then the next part doesn't even make sense. Raven's brother has been captured by Fur as a ploy to capture her. He's been captured as a ploy to capture her. That doesn't even make sense. So at that point, I'm gone. You're going to lose a lot of people there, because how could capturing them be a ploy to capture them? That's illogical. And then the next line, Demeter, the last person she wants help from, and shouldn't there be a comma after from, has offered to aid her in a daring rescue. Well, maybe not. The last person she wants help from has offered to help her in a daring rescue, provided she joins. It's the middle of a sentence. So the problem is that you've got two hook lines and then a short paragraph, and the read more cuts the sentence off in half. So that's a terrible hook. Whereas if the third line was, will temptation force Raven into darkness, ? And that's what's right before read more, nobody's going to just stop there, because questions are we're way too curious. You just can't leave on a question. So you've got, will temptation force Raven into darkness is a great hook line, but it should be the third line, and there should be something else. Raven's brother has been captured, ... What what is Churafin? Is that a person? Is it a beast? Is it an agency?
Like a half angel, half human.
Okay.
World,
Okay. Raven's brother has been captured, ... And he has no idea their real motivation or something. And so Raven's brother has been captured, ... That's only 5 words, so it's short, and that's the first line. And then the next line, ... which is an incorrect use of the ellipse. And I know that, but I don't care. I want to sell books. After the ... has been captured, ... What is, and you don't want to use Shurfim because you can't, nobody can pronounce it, and it's a hard word. It's unfamiliar. It's gonna, what does this mean? Or I don't know. I don't know anything about this book, and so, but it needs to be, he's been captured ... and it might mean the beginning of the end, period, or something. Then, will temptation force Raven into darkness? There you go. That's a really solid, relatively solid opening hook. And do you see the difference with 3 short lines versus what you have there?
For sure, yeah. And it takes a lot of more of the, how you said, I guess it would be fat away in the sense that doesn't even matter to what we need in order to increase the, it looks like it just increases more questions. So it keeps the reader wanting more.
Okay, so then we open it up. Provided she joins the Revolutionary War effort in exchange. Aided by only her closest friends, Lynette and Nathaniel, she must decide whether to accept the offer or risk the lives of those she loves. Last person wants help from, offered to aid her. Okay. Worse, she's learned a more powerful breed of undead have emerged. The stakes growing. Raven agrees to see. Right now, what you're doing is you're just giving away spoilers. This is all synopsis of the story. The goal of the description is to tell the reader almost nothing. We don't want them to know what happens in the book, because right now, aided by her closest friends, Lynette, she must decide whether to accept the offer or risk the lives of those she's loved. Worse, she learned that a more powerful breed of undead have emerged. The stakes growing. Raven agrees to Demeter's propositions. Can Raven trust Demeter's brand of vampires? So it's like, it feels like we're almost 3/4 of the way through the story. If she accepts Demeter's offer, which she just did, she agreed to it. So she agreed to it in the first line, and now if she accepts it, well, we already know she did. Will temptation force Raven into darkness? You already said that. Will she abandon her convictions and beliefs? Okay, that's a decent hook, but it doesn't make any sense in the context. Demon of Darkness is book 2 in the Revolutionary Trilogy, a dark fantasy of horrors and series set against the backdrop of the American Revolution. Vampires and half angels merge with action and magic in a tale not to be missed. Get it now. The last bit here, if you'll notice on all of my descriptions in the book, I have you'll love something. You'll love this first book in the Raven trilogy because it's a dark fantasy set against the backdrop of the American Revolution. Vampires, because it's a dark fantasy with vampires and half angels set against the backdrop of the American Revolution. The reason that call to action is so powerful is that because the 5 most powerful words in copywriting are you, now, instantly, because, and free. When you combine you and because, Madison Avenue has trained us since the 50s that 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Dentine gum. We've had these calls to action, and it's always, you will look great in this dress because. Well, what's interesting is it doesn't matter what comes after the because. We are pre-wired from a lifetime of hearing because that. Once we get to because, we believe it. Now, we want it to make sense. We don't want it to be just throwaway, so you try to make it reasonable. And then the get it now. And the get it now is just there because it's short and it's a signal for the person who is a potential reader for he or she to go up and make the purchase. Now, one more thing on this. And I feel like I'm really being brutal on
no, that's right.
Go right ahead.
No, yeah, we don't really care. I used to write screenplays for a while back in the day, so those are brutal. So no, it's okay. This is a learning experience, so we can actually see where we went wrong and.
Let me tell you where you went right. So first off, it's lightweight.
Let me add this back then.
First off, it's lightweight when you open it up. Because you've got the short lines and then you don't have any massive paragraphs and then you've got the short lines before the call to action, it is not a daunting description to look at. Now, I'm just going to go down and randomly pick.
Oh, there's the 3 lines now. Huh.
Okay. Well, if you go on, and I'm not going to say the name of the book, but the most descriptions have block of text. And that is, if you think about when you're on Facebook and your friend posts something about their vacation or they got a new puppy, if you open it up and it's a giant block of text, nobody reads it because we don't have time. So giant blocks of text just don't convert. And the point is, yours is lightweight. So there were some logic things that didn't make sense. It can be improved, but that being said, when people open this up, if they make it past then those people that are actually reading it, well, they're more likely to read it because it's lightweight. So they're not opening it up and saying, oh, look at how many words they want me to read. I'm going to go find a book that isn't asking so much of me. So in that sense, it's good. The other thing I would say is, why is it priced $3.99 and not $4.99?
that is actually, I think that's part of your other book. I think we're going to talk about, right?
Yes. Do you have
that's a good question. I don't know. I just I think I just stopped at $3.99. I think you had mentioned put them all at $4.99.
Yes, and this is important for authors to understand. There are rare cases where a book can be priced less than $4.99. Do you have a 10-book romance series? Okay, price it at 99 cents, book 1, because the value. You're going to get 90% of the readers that buy book 1 are going to buy book 2. 99% of them are going to read all the way through book 10. The value of that new reader is $35 because you get them in and they're just going to read everything you've written. That's when you have it at 99 cents, or if you're doing a promotion through a BookBub or something like that. But if you've got a short series, this is a 3-book series. You're only getting slightly more readers at 99 cents than at $4.99. You're not getting any more readers at $3.99. Nobody cares. I could talk for a half hour about elasticity of demand because I have a degree in economics, but trust me, in the science of it, ebooks are price inelastic, meaning you do not get enough additional sales going from $4.99 down to $3.99 to offset the loss in 70-cent revenue. So there's no benefit to going $3.99. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, Kindle Unlimited is such a huge part of gaining readership that perceived value suffers at $3.99, because if a person reads your description but has just read another one, they're in Kindle Unlimited. The cost for them is $0, but they can't decide between Raven Book 2 and the other one, but it's priced at $4.99. I'm going to read the one that's the better book. It has to be a better book. It's priced higher. So you're saying this isn't as good a book, so go ahead and read the $4.99 for free. It's perceived value, and the perceived value, there just isn't a reason to do $3.99 unless you're like a friend of mine who he just doesn't want to charge his readers any more than that. He thinks that's enough for an ebook, and that's fine. He makes lots of money as an author, very much money, and so he makes enough, and he just is fine with $3.99. But if you're not somebody that is making so much money you don't know what to do with it, and you want to make more, price it at $4.99. And maybe 6 months from now, if the series is doing well, price them all at $5.99 and do the analysis and see what happens to your bottom line.
And because I was reading on that, and I don't know, I guess it's also a mental thing. I need to. I'll probably end up putting them all at.
Look at that: $2.99, $2.99, $3.99, $3.99. Yeah. I mean, 99 cents. Vampire something. It's too small for me to read on the screen, but you've got one at 99 cents. How long is that series?
I think those are our novellas. I think is what we priced at 99. This one is a wait. What is this?
Well, I was going to say price a novella at $2.99.
Yeah, okay, yeah. This is a novella right here, and then the short stories are 99 cents.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, I don't have any objection to that. But look at that giant block of text.
Now, this one, I will say that I have no idea why. Every time I go into, it's supposed to be separated. And I separated it in the author page, and I separated it in the KDP.
Are you using KDP, or are you using Author Central?
Both of them, actually. I separated it in both of them.
Here's the deal. It has to be KDP. If you use Author Central to make changes to your description, as soon as you go into KDP, into the bookshelf for this book the next time, it will revert back to whatever you had before. So Author Central is not a permanent solution.
Okay.
So don't ever make changes, you authors out there, to your description using Author Central, because you'll make the change and maybe you won't get into the book for 2 months and things will be going along great and it'll be converting and you've learned the art of copywriting, so it's doing very well. And then all of a sudden sales will start to drop and we don't go in and look at our descriptions on Amazon, and you won't know why things are going poorly. Well, what happened is when you got that message from Amazon that somebody spotted the word "the" spelled TEH, you went in, you fixed it, you re-uploaded it, boom, it puts in the KDP version that you never changed.
Huh. Okay.
So I don't know. I don't necessarily know that that's the case because you did them both, but it also depends on which order you changed them. I don't know, but maybe we offline we could look into that and see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, because I had multiple books on, especially because on the synopsis, I was like, okay, we need to separate this and not be a big old block of text. And every time I changed it, it would be fine. And then I think maybe when I started going into KDP and started doing it, maybe I haven't done it for this one. I just thought in my mind I did. So I need to go back into this one and separate them. Yeah. Because they're separated on the actual book, and that's how it's supposed to be here, but it's not. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And also, like when I do the like headings. Like if I put in headings, all of a sudden they'll disappear on this.
Well, I advise against using H2 and H3.
Really?
The reason is it changes the spacing. So if you use H2 on the first line and then you have your second and third lines, which are short, the third line may be cut in half and it's illegible.
Huh.
So don't use H2 and H3. If you like bold, you can use bold. I don't have any issues with people using bold, but don't use H2 and H3 because it throws off the formatting. And what's important, the only thing we're doing, can you type in Kendall Store, Henry Wood Detective Agency? And don't click on my ad. I mean, I think there may be an ad still run. I don't know. But just, it should come up without me having to pay for the click. There we go. Okay. And then let's see. There you go. The second one down.
This one right here.
Yep. Click on that. Okay. And don't click read more. Okay. Just leave it right here. Henry knew one thing, ... Dames were trouble. Would this client be the exception? Now, before we click read more, I want to look at that. Look how easy that is to read. There's only 13 words there. Now, the person has already seen, oh, I'm up to 600 ratings. I was at 599 recently, so that's good. But the cover is Art Deco. So clearly this isn't contemporary. I reinforce that this is not a contemporary mystery with Henry knew one thing. Dames were trouble. Nobody uses the word dames.
Yeah, dames, yeah.
And hasn't used it since the 40s and 50s. Yeah. So we've, in just those 7 words, I've established the period, and it begs the question, well, why are dames trouble? What's going on? Would this client be the exception? Okay, so there's a dame who's a new client. She's probably sultry. And so now click read more. Now, I understand that this description is actually not as good as what I write now, but I leave it here for when I'm doing interviews on podcasts. And it does convert at 1 and 8. So it actually does very well. She walked in, sat down, crossed her legs, and asked for a light. Boy, could she cross a leg. Before the woman had told him why she needed a detective, Henry wondered if she was playing him. It was something about her. The red lips and smoldering eyes were just a little too perfect. She knew how to get her way. And the dress, ... She wore a Dior dress that would make an hourglass self-conscious. Was it the Damsel in Distress act? This was the second one he'd seen this week. Something wasn't adding up. 1955 was going to be an interesting year. You'll love this noir mystery with a twist because everyone loves a broken detective trying to do what's right. Get it now. So this converts at 1 and 8. Now, in the way I write descriptions now, I would never have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short lines in a row because a lot of short lines in a row visually is a giant block of text. So I would break it up. But as it is, this was the first one that I wrote that really broke through the 1 and 10 range. And like I said, it converts at 1 and 8. But the other thing that's important about this description, aside from me liking to use it on podcasts and vlogs, is that at no point do I mention anything about the story. It converts at 1 and 8. So, synopsis, you're not trying to tell them what's in the book. You're trying to get them to want to find out what's in the book. Does that make sense?
Okay. Huh.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. That's a really good tip for new writers.
Yes,
really
and that's hard. That's hard to do because, and I tell people, you should practice. And the way I practice is on Facebook. So whatever I'm posting, and I post on Facebook a lot, it's not related to books per se. I post things about, well, right now I'm posting 3 or 4 times a day about my enthusiasm for the Olympics. All of my posts are proper copywriting. I use opening hooks. I use open loops. I use stuff, and I will write sometimes 50 words, sometimes 400 or 500 words, and my post will get 200-300 likes and loves, 70 or 80 comments on Facebook. I do it because I mean, I admittedly, I have close to 5,000 friends. I'm almost capped out there. But I do it because it's great practice for copywriting. I learn a lot by doing it. And for those of you that have never tried this, you've been on Facebook for 15 years. If you start doing the things we're discussing today on Facebook, and all of a sudden you used to get 6 likes and loves, and boom, that post about making rye bread got 55 likes and loves and 10 comments because you started out, I did a thing that scared me today, ... next line, ... and I survived. Would the rye bread taste as good as it looked? And you've got a picture of the rye bread, and then you talk about the rye bread, and people will react. And once, because all your listeners who are authors, it's one thing to say, you know what, he's got a really good hat. He's got to be telling the truth. Nobody would lie with a hat like that. But it's different when you actually see the needle move. And that's why I encourage people to practice on Facebook. And I should tell you that in order to put a blank line on a Facebook post, you hold down the shift key and you hit enter twice, and that puts in a blank line. And that's how you get the formatting right, so it's lightweight and spread out. And once you start doing it with every bit of writing that is not prose, so when you're telling your story, when you're writing your fiction, you want to do it the way you've been doing it, because prose is not copywriting. But everything else, if you get an email from your grandma, write her back, tell her what you're doing, but use proper copywriting. It'll be easier for her to read. It'll be more exciting. She'll be hooked. She will enjoy it more, and you will get the practice. So I hope that resonates with both of you and your listeners.
Yeah, for sure, because that's some good information. Yeah, that's what I also read about you, was using Facebook and how you write your information too on Facebook, or your posts and stuff.
Yeah, I talk about that in Mastering Amazon Descriptions. And in fact, yesterday, I made the decision, because I don't know when your viewers are viewing this interview. We're recording it on July 29th, 2021, but they could be listening to it on next month or the month after.
Exactly.
And I've just decided literally yesterday around this time that I am going to do a revised edition of Mastering Amazon Descriptions. I'm going to add some more descriptions in, because frankly, that came out in 2019. I have improved as a copywriter since then, and I've written another 750 descriptions. So I'm going to go through and pick out some ones that are.
I'm sorry. Sorry, my mailman came.
Well, I'm going to mute you for a little bit.
There we go. But the important thing is that I have improved at the craft. I'm getting better at it. One of the complaints of that book was I think I only had 1 or 2 nonfiction descriptions in there, and that's because prior to writing the book, I hadn't written that many. Now I write a lot of nonfiction, and I've improved at that. In fact, this week I think I've written 2 or 3 nonfiction, and so I'm going to include more nonfiction, which is good for the writers of nonfiction. I'm also going to include a few descriptions where I have data back from the author, and I had just last week, I guess it was last Friday, I heard back from David Clark, an author, and let me get the title of David's book, because if folks want to look at that, let me see. David, well, where's David? David Clark. It's The Ghosts of Miller Crossing, and this I rewrote 3 or 4, or well, I guess it's been about 5-6 weeks ago, because he sent me a message on Facebook and he said, Brian, I hope this finds you well. After a month of using your blurb for my book 1 and also using the blurb in my Facebook ads, we have some startling results. Before, my conversion rate was 1 in 7.88. Wait, I'm 7.88%, which is 1 in 20 across all ads, including borrows, meaning he factored in the KU downloads. Since June 17th, it is almost double, 13.07%, and a reduction of 11 clicks per sale from 20 to 9. So prior to hiring me, he had to pay for 20 to get a reader. Now he only has to pay for 9. Awesome results. free to use those results to help convince others to use your service. And so that description cost him $150. I charge $150 as of July 29, 2021 to write a book description. But when you think about spending, how much are you going to spend over the next 10 years advertising your book? I mean, it's a lot of money, and going from 1 in 20 to 1 in 9, it takes very little time to make up the cost of the description. So that was a little plug for my service. But the point is, I want folks to be looking for, if it is a month from now, I anticipate relaunching Mastering Amazon Descriptions on September 7th. That's the goal, with the new content, a little bit of data like was just in there, like I just read, and so it's getting even better.
I'll for sure be one of the ones to be buying that then when it comes out.
Excellent.
Apparently, I still need quite a bit more practice in order to get it just.
Well, it does take practice. It's not something that you can just read the book and get it right the first time. But you know what? You have a lot of books. If you sat down this weekend and decided to rewrite all of your descriptions in an afternoon, I mean, it will be mentally fatiguing. Maybe you do it over 2 days. But by the time you get to the last description, if you go back and reread the first one you wrote, you'll be better. I mean, just in 8 or 10 of them, you will be better. And you can go through and edit that first one and bring it up to that level in 3 or 4 minutes. And so that exercise, how many books do you have, William?
What do we have? Like
20.
Is it up to 1, 2?
22.
Okay, 22 books.
22, somewhere like that.
If you rewrote them over, say, the course of the next week, just that constant doing 3 a day, which will be fatiguing, because I mean it's much easier now for me to rewrite a description. I sometimes can do them in 20 minutes because I've done every possible genre you can imagine. I've now done many nonfiction, and so my mind, and this is what I do kind of all the time, I'm always thinking about it. So it's very easy for me. But when I was starting out, it might take me 2 hours. I might write the hook and then go for a walk and think about it. And so I don't expect you can bang these out in 20 minutes. But if you, and I don't know that you need to spend 6 hours a day for a week, but the point is, do whatever you can. If you block out an hour a day, you might get 1 done, but then by the end of the week, you might be doing 2. That's enough to change your copywriting skill set for the rest of your life. And copywriting is not just for descriptions. Do you communicate with your readers? Do you send out email blasts to tell them about a new book? You should be using proper copywriting. If you have an author group on Facebook, do you want your readers to interact? If you use proper copywriting, you're going to get more people to read it. You're going to get more likes. Facebook is going to show it to more people, which leads to more interaction. And so it is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
It's and it's very interesting because coming from kind of a marketing background in a sense, I used to do with SEO and SEM stuff. It kind of falls under that whole foundation as well, depending because of the I guess mentality that people have towards certain words, of the actual trigger words that people get for certain marketing. And you had also brought up that the famous marketing company for the 5 famous words.
Yeah. That was from a post on Copyblogger, which for whatever reason I can't find anymore, but it's something that I read. I mean, it's 7, 8, 9 years ago. This was before I even got into copywriting. I read this. Somebody had sent me this post, and again, all I remember is it was Copyblog. I don't remember the author of it, but they had studied the power of you because and these 5 words, and they had data, and so I liked it. And I wish I could find it again. I don't know if it's been taken down or it's just, you get 8, 9, 10 years old. They have a lot of content every day, and that's so far in the past.
Way hidden in there somewhere.
But I want to. That's a wonderful site for people who are interested in copywriting. I can't recommend it enough. I love it.
Would you repeat that site again?
It's called Copyblogger.
Copy blogger.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody get that? Copy blogger.
And so
Now, before we move on to another book I wanted to discuss regarding Amazon. So the main thing for everybody that's watching is that, and after reading Brian's book, that I try to tell new authors is that it's very important, besides the cover, that the synopsis be good. Synopsis
stop using the word synopsis, because a synopsis means you're summarizing the book, and they're not writing a synopsis. That's the bad description. Don't get that word out of your, because
erase it.
Erase it. I mean, that was the reason why we did the Henry Wood description, because it is not a synopsis of the book. It doesn't even mention what happens. Now, in nonfiction, you are telling them what's in the book, but for those nonfiction authors out there, understand that most nonfiction descriptions tell too much. So you don't want to keep it a secret what your herbal remedies book is about, but you also don't want to list 15 things that are in it. You want to pick 5 and then have a 6th line that says "and much more," because again, if you get a list of 15 things, people don't want to read a list of 15 things, and they will just click away. And so you see, in that instance, for nonfiction, you have to give them a sense of the major components of the book without going into minutia, and then hook them with how the book is going to benefit them. And you also want to put in a little bit about you, the author, and why they should listen to you for learning about herbs and how it can help you, or whatever it is. And so that is a little bit different component. Another description type that is a little more challenging is middle grade, because with middle grade book descriptions, you're writing to two vastly different audiences that are going to be reading it simultaneously. And that's the middle grader who is sitting at the computer with mom and dad. So you, in the span of that description, need to pique the middle grader's interest and convince mom and dad that this is a good book for their child. Yeah. So those are a couple nuanced things about description writing that I wanted to push in there before we change subjects.
Okay, so we're going to call it description writing, not copywriting.
Copywriting, description writing, blurb writing. You're
but
never
not
writing
synopsis.
It's not a synopsis of the book, because I mean, somebody can say, "Hey, we'd like to make a movie of your book. Can you send us a synopsis?" Send them a synopsis, because they want to make a movie of your book, and tell them the minutia and write 2,000 words on what happens in the book and give away all the spoilers. But when you're trying to sell the book to a reader, don't make them think they know how the book ends.
Okay.
By giving away so much detail that, wow, I read that description with all those giant blocks of text, and I got to the end, and you know what? I think I've read this story so many times before, I don't need to read it again. And understand that there are only 7 stories, I think they say. There's only the hero's journey or whatever. So they're all the same story, and especially for romance authors, there's only one story in romance. There's all these boxes you have to tick as a contemporary romance author, historical, Regency, all the different things. They're all the same, and I'm not saying that in a way that's derogatory. They're all the same because the millions of consumers only want to hear the one story, but they want to hear how you tell the story, what your characters are like. And so the fact that you're going to write 14 identical books with different characters in a year doesn't matter. If you're a craftsperson, it's the way you weave that tale they're going to get together at the end. The happily ever after is required in romance. The reader knows that. Yes. So, and also you don't need to mention that the guy character is super hot and sexy, because you know what? The millions of romance books, there have yet to be a dad bod series. Oh, she saw him with his beer gut hanging out and couldn't resist. That has never happened. So you have to understand when doing romance that there's all the things you want to put in there about how hot he is doesn't add anything in the description, because the fact that it's in that genre means he's got six-pack abs.
Yeah.
Okay, did you hear that? New writer said is a really, really good tip. A really good tip when it comes to writing a romance. It's really something you should heed and follow.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I go on and on, but
No.
I'm so passionate about this because I've written 1,200 descriptions, and I have competitors out there that write descriptions, and I know that I've rewritten some of those, and some of them, like one in particular, it converted at 1 in 14. Well, 1 in 14 is vastly better than 1 in 30, and so the people using that service, they're getting better descriptions. But mine literally convert better than any out there, and I've got the data to show it. I've got my own books, and then lots and lots, and so make it a priority. There aren't indie authors who publish with horrible covers anymore. Everybody knows you need a good cover.
Oh yeah.
It should be the same with the description. And if you don't want to do it, hire me.
Oh yeah. I actually tried to find you. I just couldn't get past through the Facebook. I was like, I'll send him another message. I don't know if we ever friended or not, because I know I sent you a friend request and messaged you.
Well, I'm sorry. I get like 50 friend requests a day.
Yeah, I figured.
And so the problem is that okay, here's something that I've done poorly. There are many things I've done poorly, but one of them is I don't have a website for my copywriting business, and part of the whole re-release of Mastering Amazon Descriptions is I have this plan for this place where I'm going to set up a thing and people can go to it, click a button, buy a description, and then it will send them the form that I have them fill out, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and they can fill that out, send it back, and I'll be able to get to work. So yeah, I've done a poor job of making myself easy to find. Right now, the best bet is just to send me a message on Facebook, and and then hope that I see it. Because I have Facebook up all the time, and so you can go to one of my posts. I'm also I have two groups: Mastering Amazon Ads and Mastering Amazon Descriptions. There are posts in there that are attached at the top about my service, and so if you go in there and respond to one of those, and they usually have pictures of guinea pigs, and you respond to one of those and say, hey, I'd like to hire you to write a description, here's a link to the book, something like that, I'll see it, and that's a good way to find me. But again, I have done a horrible job of making it easy to find the service that I love providing. So for those of you listening out there,
it sounds like this new service you're going to be offering is going to be an excellent site. It's going to take care of the problem that you're having getting to everybody. And I think it's going to be wonderful. Then how soon do you think that will come up?
The plan is September 7th to launch. I'm working with this startup company that is doing I told you, some stuff that is revolutionary for the book business. And I can't talk about the details of how they're approaching publishing and sales and all this stuff because of the NDA.
Okay.
But what they're doing is the next evolution. And that seems like hyperbole, but we first had our conversation, I think 10 days ago. I have thought of nothing else but what they're doing. And this relaunch of Mastering Amazon Descriptions is going to allow me to test out their claims so that, before I tell people out in the world, hey, this thing they're doing is great, you should do it, I want to be able to say, hey, this thing is great, I made this much money in 3 days, or I made this much money over a month, or here are my sales numbers, and yes, this is outside the ecosystem of what we're used to, and yes, readers, it's going to be a little different, foreign for them in a sense when they first get there, but we got them past it within a couple minutes, and the readers will be happier. It's both better for readers and better for authors. But again, I mean, all I can give you are teasers right now because there's a lot for us to do before I'm allowed to talk about their company.
Right.
We'll
Right.
say that's pretty good. So he just gives us the description right now, but it's in the
exactly.
future we'll find out the actual story. So.
Yeah. If you're in my groups on Facebook, Mastering Amazon Ads and Mastering Amazon Descriptions, on September 7th, of course, I'll be launching this, and I'll be posting in both those groups, and there'll likely be videos talking about the problems that the things authors complain about, and why their platform is solving those. And so there's all these check boxes of things. Oh, that annoys me. Why do we have? Why does it have to be that way? Or, oh, I'm a reader, and this is the one thing I don't like about ebooks. I love ebooks. My phone is full of them, but that's one thing I don't like, and they're solving it. It's so exciting.
Nice. Yeah.
Maybe you can come
Well-
back in September and talk about your launch and so on.
Perfect. Yeah. I would love to. Like I said, I mean, I imagine the 7th and 8th, I'm going to be, in front of my screens, just, dealing with this exciting new launch and answering questions and all. But I really believe that once it's done, because the consumers I'm reaching out to are authors for this product, in order for them to consume this release, they will have to use the platform as a customer. Okay. And once they see, oh, wow, this is really great, their mind is going to go to, wow, I could do some things that I've never been able to do. And that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Oh, that is kind of
exciting.
exciting.
I'm really excited about it. I'm happy for you. It's going to be a great
thank you.
thing.
I'm so
like very curious. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be waiting on those days. So.
Absolutely.
Well,
I actually have a list of podcasts or I don't know. Do you call yourself a podcast? Do you call yourself a vlog, a YouTube show, whatever? I have a list of shows that I'd like to be on once, after September 7th. It sounds like you're interested in having me back. If
oh yeah, for sure. I know because I know our time is about to be over here. It's almost 5 o'clock, and unfortunately, I gotta get ready for a jiu-jitsu class. So, but
that sounds awesome.
I know I definitely want to go over because I love to do and delve into Amazon ads. We probably won't have the time now, but I would love to have you back to talk about that right there, because I know a lot of authors do kind of make that mistake at first and just shoot in like $2, $1 for their ads, and they're just losing. Even if they're making sales, they're losing on money.
Yeah. Why don't we just really quickly, we've got 2 minutes, what William's talking about, because we had a conversation before the show started, is that when he began with Amazon ads, he didn't think about how much he was paying per click. And because the description wasn't converting great, but he was only focused on getting sales, he didn't realize he was spending more money than he was taking in.
Right.
And that's a realization that a lot of authors still don't think about. They might spend $500 from one account and get $300 in sales that goes into a different account, and they never notice that. You just can't do that. That's not how you run a business. You can't lose money on every sale and make it up in volume. Now, going back to what I said earlier, there are times where if you have the right setup where it's a long series, you can lose money on book one. But you shouldn't be losing money on book one because you're bidding too high. It should be a decision. Okay, I'm going to lower it to 99 cents. I'm still going to bid correctly. I'm going to have a small bid. I've got a good description. It's going to convert well. I just only get 35 cents for that first book. But that's okay because I have 10 books in this series. So that should be the only reason you lose money on a book one. Whereas if you're bidding $1 a click because you're worried about being on page one when it shows up, don't worry about that. The people that are on page one are the same ones over and over again. Readers consume a ton of books. So if you're on page one and you're always there and the same other 7, 8, 9 books, however many, depending on the screen size, are on page one, the shoppers have already seen all those. They've probably already read all those books, and you're paying extra money to be ignored on page one. Now, if you bid the right amount and are on page one, great, but don't pay for the privilege of, because they'll go to page 2, they'll go to page 3, and you're not paying for clicks when it says 1 of 27 if you have to go out to 27 until the point that it shows up on your screen. So don't pay for that privilege unless you have a really good reason.
Thank you. That was an excellent tip. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we'll definitely, hopefully, you'll be back. Maybe before September, we can have another one, so we can actually kind of focus on that book. I know we kind of focused on the description, but I love descriptions too, and we need those descriptions to be correct. But I think the other important one is the Amazon. I know there's a lot of people out there who are always looking, and when I spent all the money last year on trying to figure out different services and techniques for marketing, Amazon ads actually did give me a little bit more ROI than most other things. Like I know there's a way to do it on Facebook, but Facebook, as I always say, always eats up your money so quickly.
Facebook is hard.
Yeah.
Whichever platform you use, if done correctly, they can be done profitably. It's more challenging now than it was in 2017 when I launched the book. Absolutely. The cost per click is higher. They can both be done. Understand this. Pick one and learn it. Spend 6 months learning it, because if you try to pick both of them, you're going to do both of them poorly. It's really hard to learn because they're so different, and it just takes trying things out, studying it, looking at the numbers for a long period of time to sort of really get it. And so you can pick Amazon, you can pick Facebook, whichever one you want, but stick with it. Give it 6 months. Record your data. That's how you'll get good enough to really make it happen. And I would be remiss, William, you were trying to reach out to me. Would you like to hire me for a description? Because I would be glad to add you to the list. I could probably get to it either tomorrow or the next day.
Oh yeah. I'm actually about to hire me a marketing company, probably for my photography though. So my budget's a little low right now because.
Okay, well you should.
But give me. I'll definitely want a new for sure for the second book that we worked on, and Janelle's, and then we have. The third book I'm about to be finished, so
I would love for you to I can't talk. I'm so excited for the Reckoning book. I would love to hire you for that. Yes.
Okay. Can you send me a friend request or reach out on Facebook, and then I will send you the form. It's just a Word document, and you'll fill it out.
We'll do that because I'm not on Facebook. I don't.
Okay, we'll do it.
I'm not on Facebook. So I'll have Will do that.
Okay. That sounds perfect. We'll get that going and get you a new description, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow.
Oh my God! Yeah.
She's
like, all right, no more. I don't have to write my own description. No.
Well, I tell everybody, I think it's a valuable skill to learn.
Oh
And Janelle, you say you're not on Facebook.
No,
get on Facebook if for no other reason, just to practice copywriting. Because you can get on every day and you can join groups about authors and find things you like. I don't know if you're into gardening. My mother's on Facebook because all of her gardening friends, they chat about gardening. And so there's stuff for you on Facebook, but don't do it because the social media aspect. Do it because every day you can write 2 or 3 posts and practice your copywriting, and that's going to help your marketing for your books.
Okay, I'll have to learn I don't know how to do any of that, so I'll have to learn it. But
it's pretty easy. It's designed to be easy. So yes, you'll have to learn, but just like with everything, we fail to get started because of the fear of the unknown. And my mother, Granny Gardner, she's on Facebook, and she, once I got her into it, she loves it. She talks with her grandkids and has a good time. So it is a worthwhile place to be for no other reason that lets you build an important skill set. And William, I hope you're thinking about, if you have a site for your photographs, the copy that you have on your site, because I know we're running a little long, but I got a quick story. A friend of mine who's a photographer, and his camera equipment is, I don't remember the name of it because it's been over a couple of years. We lived together in the same building in Las Vegas, and I just don't remember the name. But his medium format equipment cost $180,000. So it's more expensive than Hasselblad. Well, this equipment is such that
not when it's expensive.
he shoots for the casino corporations out there,
Mm.
and so these entertainment corporations, MGM every year has this thing that he described it as a big shoot. They have a big promotion 3 times a year, something like that. Maybe it's 4. I don't know the details, but I didn't need to know the details. All I needed to know was he had tried to get this gig 7 times before and failed. And we're at a nice bar. We're having drinks, and I got out my iPad and I said, well, what's the deal? He said, well, there's only a handful of authors, a couple dozen, or not authors, but photographers in the world that have the equipment that can shoot at a high enough resolution that it will go across their giant billboard and not look grainy and look horrible. So there's only a few of us that can actually do the job, and we all know each other. And I said, what are their pain points? And we talked about it. 20 minutes later, I wrote him the cover letter, and he got the job. And this is $100,000 2-week gig.
Oh my God.
So understand that it's copywriting's for everything. If you've got to use lawnmower and you're trying to sell it, use copywriting because you'll move it more quickly. So that was my last thing. I didn't mean to make us run long, but you're a photographer, so I thought that would be helpful.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I do the SEO for the website. I know I've been trying to turn it over to other people though, so I'm probably going to give it off to this marketing company if they do correct with Facebook first. I'm trying to scale it up, so because I'm hitting my dry months right now because I do the wedding and quinceañeras and event photography. So sure.
Well, William, I'm confused by your handle there, William WJR Parks. What's your last name? I don't know.
It's William Ramos, but there's a story behind that. But WJR Parks is supposed to be William Joseph Ramos. I was raised by my grandparents, so I inherited the Ramos name. My actual name was supposed to be William Joseph Parks. So I had a little bit of decision of trying to see with my grandparents passed away and then my dad passed away. So trying to figure out how I was going to incorporate my names in there. So that's a short story right there compared to the long one. But yeah, so now for my author, all my photography and all my author stuff, I use WJR Parks.
Okay. Are you the William Ramos photography with the attractive woman?
If you're on Facebook, then Facebook. Yes.
Okay. Well, I just sent your photography thing a message to connect so that you can help Janelle get her description.
Oh, bless your heart.
Well, I mean,
okay. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
I'm a businessman. This is what I do, and this is.
You're a very nice man.
Well, thank you.
I try to what? Nice things first.
I have wonderfully friendly parents, and I live in a friendly town in Iowa, and it's wonderful. I just learned a story. Since we're running long and we're just throwing caution to the wind, I'm going to tell another story. Okay. Martell, Iowa was 253 people, 252, 253. And we've had this farm outside of town for 160 years, something like that, give or take. Well, I'd never met the mayor. I mean, I live on one edge of town, and there's not that many people, but I just hadn't met him. And so I met the mayor, Mayor Fountain, the other day. I was just walking. I've been walking 30,000 steps. This is my 65th day that I will do 30,000 steps. I'm losing weight. I'm feeling great. So I'm out on one of my walks through town.
Okay.
Walked outside of town, then I turn around and come back. And I meet the mayor, and he introduces himself, and I said, well, I'm Brian Meeks. Did you know Don Meeks, which was my grandfather? And he goes, oh, everybody knew Don Meeks. Your grandpa was a legend.
Oh.
And I was like, really? He goes, would you like to hear a story? I was like, yes. He goes, well, you see the grain elevator over there? You see the original elevator, the original silos, these concrete silos, and they're in pairs, and there's like 10 of them. So 5 rows of 2. Okay. They're 120 feet high. And he said, when they first put those up in the 50s, your grandfather could throw a baseball over top of it. 120 feet. And he said there were 2 other kids in town that could throw it over, but he was the only one that could run around and catch it.
Oh, and he was saying that's serious. That's not a joke. That's serious.
That's serious. Grandpa was a farmer. He was a baseball player, played basketball, and in his youth, he loved. He played like town league baseball. Where they towns and counties each other. Well into his late 30s, 40s, and him and my uncle back. I think this was when they were young. I mean, long before they had even gotten married, and where they decided that my uncle said to my great uncle said, Don, I think we could make some money tiling fields. And for those who aren't farmers, if you have an area of your field that water like gathers on, if you dig down 5 feet, they put in this tile system and it drains the water away, so more of the land is farmable, so you don't have these dead areas. That's what tiling is. Okay. And imagine digging a hole 5 feet deep and 3 feet wide. Okay, that's a hard thing. Now it's through farmland, so it's not like hard packed front lawn or anything, but it's still that's a big hole to dig.
That's a lot of work, yeah.
And my grandpa and great uncle could dig 5 feet deep, 3 feet wide, and they could do a mile in a day, a mile-long trench, and they became just legends in the county. And so when they weren't feeding the cows, when they weren't putting in the crops, that's what they did when they were young. Is they made extra money tiling fields manually. I mean, just with shovels.
Oh my God! Oh my
wow!
God.
And I didn't know these stories. My dad didn't know that story, and he didn't know the story about the baseball. And so it was really cool hearing stories about Grandpa, that I wasn't aware of. So
wasn't aware of.
Some great stories and make a great book.
Yeah, they may do that. Well, hey, if we don't stop talking, I'll talk for another hour.
Yeah. Well, let me end the show then, so that way we could probably talk after for a little bit, because I know I have to leave here. Sure. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all again for joining us or joining us later in the show. And of course, you can find I still need to do. Dale gave me some advice on how to do the books and stuff. I still need to go in there and do it. I've just been so busy. But anyway, you can find me and Janelle on KDP or Kindle, Amazon under WJR Parks or Janelle Coberly. You kind of saw some of our books today, The Reckoning and the Raven series. And Brian, of course, they can also find you on Amazon, since I'm looking at your books right now. So I would we didn't get to talk about it today, but I would highly recommend this book right here, Mastering Amazon Ads, for anybody who is dabbling and barely getting into the Amazon. So that way you don't lose out on money that you could be saving.
And this is a great example of why you never use H2. I used H2. And look at the third line; it's cut in half.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. Okay, I see now what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I'd done that.
I see. Okay.
Because it's not like I go read my description every day, so that's been there for years, and I didn't notice.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But the book is excellent. You must have this book if you.
Well, thank you.
To learn copywriting, and if you could write it your copy 20 different ways, but how are you going to know it's right unless you read Brian Meeks' book?
Well, this is the ads book, and the ads book has one chapter on copywriting, and then the description book is all copywriting.
Yeah,
there you go.
This is the description book right here for description, which is very important. Is this one right here, Mastering Amazon Descriptions. I loved this book.
Thank you.
I'm not a master at it yet, but I hope eventually, one year I will be.
Oh, it won't even take that. We're going to get you there, I promise.
Sounds great. And so anybody who are needing these kind of information, barely dabbling into descriptions and Amazon ads, give these books a try. I guarantee you will learn a lot from Brian.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone. If I can get my cursor back to normal here, for joining us. We will see you for our next show. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.